Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the Cinéaste notebook to master character action. This is literally the secret engine driving absolutely every great story you've ever seen on a screen or read on a page. If you've ever wondered why some scenes crackle with incredible gripping energy while others just kinda lay there completely flat, well, you are in the exact right place. We're gonna fix that today so you never write a flat scene again.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll define character action, break down the four types, look at the power of layered action, clarify the difference between action and business, and finish up with the ultimate scene design tool. Let's kick things off with Section 1, defining character action. The characters want. We've all read or watched a scene that just feels totally dead. You know the ones. Characters are talking, things are happening, but we simply do not care. The missing ingredient in those moments? It's action. And by action, we mean a character's specific want or desire in a scene. It's the intention they carry into the room with them, exactly what they are trying to get, achieve, or make happen. Think of action as the engine of a car. Without it, you just have a very expensive metal box sitting in a driveway. Action is the fuel. Every subtle movement, every single line of dialogue must be powered by this underlying want.
Moving right along to Section 2, the four types of action, or the flavors of desire.
Now that we know what the engine is, we need to understand how it's actually built. A character's core desire doesn't just come in one flavor. It can be neatly categorized into four distinct buckets: psychological, emotional, physical, and material. Whenever you're diagnosing what's driving a character in any given moment, their engine will fall into one of these four. Let's look closely at what each one actually means in practice. First up is psychological action. This includes things like seeking revenge, forging an alliance, or trying to dominate, manipulate, or persuade someone. This want is rooted entirely in the mind. It's basically a game of mental chess. Just think of a tense boardroom negotiation, right? It's all about power dynamics, intellect, and strategy. Next is emotional action. This could be seeking an apology, wanting closure, or trying to be forgiven, or even trying to forgive someone else. So contrast the mind with the heart here. Emotional action is rooted purely in feeling. It's raw, it's vulnerable, it's that tearful confrontation in the rain where logic just completely goes out the window and the engine is fueled purely by an emotional state. Then we have physical action, which is the most primal category on our list: wanting food, water, rest, or safety. Here the focus shifts to the body and basic survival. When a character is driven by physical necessity, the stakes feel incredibly immediate and life or death. A freezing, exhausted character doesn't care at all about a psychological chess match. They just want to get inside by the fire. And finally, we round out the categories with material action, which is rooted in the practical, tangible world. We're talking about wanting money, a loan, a signature on a document, or a specific physical resource. It is clear, it is measurable, and the brilliant part is you know exactly when the character has achieved it because the tangible item is literally right there in their hands. All right, let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds. The power of layered action, the action iceberg. Now, what's really interesting about this is that human beings are rarely simple, and great characters shouldn't be either. Think of action like an iceberg. What you see on the surface is almost never the whole story. On the surface, a character might be asking for a loan, a purely material want. But the underlying action, that massive part of the iceberg hiding underwater, is that they are asking to be taken seriously. That is psychological and emotional. The material request is just a convenient cover. It's a tangible vehicle for a much deeper psychological need, and that is where the magic of a scene truly happens. Or consider this beautifully messy dynamic. A character tells themselves they are seeking closure, but underlying that, deep down, they are actually seeking to quietly reopen the wound. Just think about how dramatic that is. The more layered the action, the richer, more compelling, and more human the scene becomes. When characters are fighting for a surface goal while secretly bleeding for an underlying one, the audience simply cannot look away. Which brings us to Section 4, action versus business, spotting the imposter. So we clearly know what action is, but we also need to expose its most dangerous imposter, and that is business. Action is the engine, the high-stakes intention, the desire, the direction of the scene. Business, on the other hand, is merely the paint job. It's the mundane physical activity happening on screen: lighting a cigarette, making a cup of tea, folding the laundry, adjusting a collar. Now, business is incredibly useful. It provides rhythm, it reveals character quirks, and it gives actors a great place to hide subtext. But make no mistake, business is not the engine.
And this brilliantly illustrates a point directly from the Cinéaste's notebook. A scene full of business and empty of action has no engine. It is movement without direction. A character can fold laundry, dramatically light cigarettes, and aggressively sip tea all day long, but if they want absolutely nothing from the other person in the room, the scene is dead. It is just empty movement. Finally, Section 5, the ultimate scene design tool, practical application. So, how do we apply all this? If you want to use this framework to instantly elevate your own creative work, here is your practical toolkit. Whenever you sit down to write or revise a scene, you have to diagnose it. Identify exactly what the character wants from the situation, and answer specifically and honestly to make the scene come alive. It sounds incredibly simple, I know, but this sharp focus on action is profound. When you pair this action with conflict, which is what stands in their way, and reversal, how the dynamic eventually shifts, you have a master blueprint for scene design.
So I'll leave you with this ultimate question. You must ask yourself this every single time you sit down to write, revise, or even just watch a movie tonight. What does this character want right now from this person or situation? If the answer isn't abundantly clear, you don't really have a scene yet. You just have a collection of business. So next time your character walks into a room, what will their engine be?